live. I'm going to add Karen to the stage with me. We'll wait a couple more minutes before we begin our conversation about being brave, celebrating 1 million hashtag celebrating 1 million women and their courage.
Yeah.
Good morning. It's been quite a week.
It has been quite a week, but oh my goodness, so many fun things happening. I have been zipping around telling people about the book and all kinds of good stuff. Yeah.
Well, in just 1 minute, I'll read your amazing bio. There is so much, the shorter version. There's so much that we could share this morning, but we're only going to be here 45 minutes, and it's going to be a casual conversation about this project, which has been
it's been, I feel like there's this buzz around me. I'm like, just all this energy and all these different things, just with people talking and reviews, and it's been fun. And I'm also writing some thank yous already to some people who have supported along the way.
Awesome. You were right on it with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 more minute. And here we are. Actually, it's 10 a.m. We'll get started. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of information about Karen Rae, who I met about a year ago, or actually joined Fave a year ago. You'd been in my kind of a background for 2 years. And I finally stepped into the community, and what an amazing community it is. So Karen Rae is the inspiring founder of Fave Lifestyles community, which she created while navigating the unexpected challenges of divorce, re-entering the workforce, and experiencing life's major transition, like becoming an empty nester and going through menopause. Refusing to remain invisible through these challenges, Karen chose to thrive, embracing her vibrancy and creating a space where women like you can be celebrated and shine. Her passion is embodied in the mission of hashtag celebrating 1 million women, where courageous voices are ignited by honoring the brave stories of women worldwide. And we've done just that with being brave. I got a little shadow here. Yeah. Which when did you come up with the idea for this?
I was cleaning out my closet the other day and I came upon a notebook. And so it had in there celebrating 1 million women. And so this was like 8 years ago. This has been on my heart, calling, and I was thinking, okay, God, what do you want me to do with this? 1 million women, that's a lot of women to celebrate. And I thought, you know what, it'll take me the rest of my life. It'll give me purpose. It'll give me, as I enter this new season of what I borrowed from somebody else, of women of a more interesting age. And what are we going to do in that time? How can we share our wisdom and what's our purpose going to be, and bringing meaning to life? And it was around celebrating women.
And so how about the book project? When did you start thinking it was a book?
Yes. Actually, I started thinking of the book and how I wanted it to look several years ago. And I had seen a format that I just really enjoyed, and that is an interview format. And that's what we did. So it would be like an interview, and it's an easy read that way, and it just flows and has air to it and all that kind of good stuff. But I thought of it really in planning it out 2 years ago. And then I broke my arm and my leg. And I thought, I have to hold on this for a second. And it was good because I needed to format a little bit more of what it was going to look like. And then all of a sudden we were here I was standing in my carpet last year, and I said, what if I just start loving on everybody, and what would that look like? And this is what it looks like, is the book, is how can we love on other humans and share inspiration and hope? And that's when I reached out to you, and we made this thing happen really fast.
I think it was actually the first meeting that I attended in Fave. I shared what I did, and even though we had a little conversation prior to that, and then you said, we need to talk.
Yeah.
You had mentioned the book project, and I went, "Whoa, sounds interesting." So, uh, we started this late
February.
January,
Yeah, January
February.
or February. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we
yeah,
put the call out for stories like in March.
yes. We came up with s we ended up with 16 questions.
Yes.
That took a little bit of, like, and they were all focused on women's how we overcame our challenges and tapped into our courage and our bravery, right?
Right. And really what I wanted to do, because so many women, they're like, oh, I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do this. And I thought, what if we just gave them the prompts, the questions, and guided them through their story? Because some women can get in the muck and the mire of the circumstances of
Yeah,
what we really wanted to draw out that hope, that inspiration, to know that women are not alone in their story, that and you can see how they overcame, how they tapped into their grit or their resilience, or all these different things, or maybe just had to take a small step. It was a decision to just pivot this direction or that direction,
right.
and to tap into that, because I feel that we connect over emotional experiences.
Mhm.
It's not the circumstances so much. It's that emotion as women that we feel, because we feel it. And
Yeah.
that's where that real connection with women. And that's what when the reviews and everything that are coming in, it's like, yes, I relate. We have these little paddles at our events. It says, I relate, because yeah, I can relate to what you went through and how you overcame. And so it's really touching.
Yeah, the power of story is amazing. That's been my lifelong work, studying how when we write our stories, we heal our own wounds, and then through our process, when someone reads our stories, even if the circumstances aren't the same, they glean the benefit of it. They go, "Oh, I'm not alone," and then they're even inspired to take steps to move in a direction that they've been wanting to, but haven't because they've been afraid. So,
Right.
and there are
Yeah. And
so many of those.
yeah. And Kathy, one of the things that really touched me is when you came up with that. And I remember we were in a Fave biz chat, and you were talking about the light, bringing
Ah,
light to I can't remember exactly how
it
you said
was,
it.
yeah, I forget even what you asked the question, and something about maybe the mission, and then I realized, I said, "Well, I bring light into the world with words."
Yes.
And and that's what we've done. We've got lots of light on this cover too. Little starlight.
And that's, I think, what this healing that these women have experienced. And it's interesting because I have interviewed almost all the women, and I said, what is the biggest thing that most surprised that came out of the story? And they said, I realized I had to be so brave just to share my story.
Mm, yeah.
But again, they didn't know, they realized they are not alone, because they had you, they had me, you had that, you as our guide, as our light, bringing light to our words. It was a comfort that,
Yeah.
oh, I can tell my story. And then they realized, oh, it's maybe for me to hear the story again, that healing piece. And what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been amazing. Um, and like I said, whirlwind. I mean, we did this project in just what, maybe 8 months?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is,
And
and we get made number 1 bestseller for the Kindle version this week, which is really great. And we were up in the top 10 for quite a while, and women in business
yeah.
and survivor biographies and a few others. So and today is the launch of the paperback.
Today is the
So
launch of the paperback. Girls, go buy your girlfriend one, because she'll be so inspired. And oh my gosh, it's just, and it's pretty. This is so, I like to be in control of a lot of things. But for the layout, even, I mean, so there's so many things that go into a book, and the layout is important. And the graphics are important, and all those things, and the photos, if you have photos or whatever. But I love, so if you ever have trouble reading, we've got these lovely quotes from their stories, and they're big and it's pretty.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We pulled a quote from everybody's story,
Yeah.
and that's on the left side of the page right before their chapter starts. And at the end, there's a bio with the ladies' photos to describe what they do. Many of our co-authors are business owners, women business owners, entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Women in business. And so we have some gals who work corporate as well.
Mm-hmm.
However, the stories are so varied. Even if they have a same theme in the circumstance, their lesson of bravery is so different.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things that a lot of the ladies have said is that they were writing their story, and then one of the end questions talks about, what does bravery mean to you? A lot of them said it changed. I was walked into writing my story thinking bravery was one thing. When I wrote my story, I realized it was something totally different.
Love that. Love that.
Too. And I think that actually is my favorite question out of all of them, because they really look in and see what they did, and they're celebrating themselves that, hey, you know what? I really was brave.
Yeah.
And this is what it looked like to me. And so I'm going to give myself some love.
Every time we have a conversation about this, I get teary. My heart just is filled with gratitude that, I was able to be a part of this. Can you share a couple of the stories? Just kind of briefly.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. Gwen's story pops out in my head, and she talks about that being a hero, or stepping out and doing something right doesn't always feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was her biggest lesson in her story, that it was very painful because she had to report a family member for abuse, and it was with the children, and she knew it was the right thing to do. She knew it would also tear apart possibly her relationship with other people, family members, but she knew it was the right thing to do. And so that's but that was her brave step, is that just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have stories like Tina Tesh-Meyer's, which is totally different type of story, which is about saving the oceans. Her son came to her and showed her a picture of a whale that was, not getting its food because it was full of plastics. And her son said something around the fact that, Mom, your generation has done this, and now it's our turn to clean it up. And she said, well, why don't we do it together? And now she is on a mission called Move Me to clean up the oceans, to take plastics how can we, one step at a time, take plastics out of our lives and exchange it for something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was brave.
Reading. Yeah. And I think, most people will be inspired by that. I looked while working on her chapter, I went, all right, what can go? What can we move, so move out of using plastics. And it's kind of hard to avoid, when we go to the grocery store and things are in plastic, but, we can recycle, we can reuse. I reuse a lot of our, plastic containers and don't go out and buy. If I buy anything, it's a glass container now. So those kind of things.
Yeah, just being more aware. Yeah, and then we have stories of women who maybe were fired from a job. Jackie,
right.
And her old boss challenged her. He said, for 1 year, do you have enough to live off for a year, and pursue this coaching? Because knowing that as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you don't make money for a while. You've got to get it all up and going. And she did. And so it was that belief of someone believing in her before she could believe in herself.
Yeah.
Those lessons. And what did that look like to trust yourself and stand in your own power?
Yeah. And the other thing I remember from her story is that her coach challenged her not to overload her schedule. And I think as women, who do that. It's like we got one more thing we can do before we run out the door, right? Or, oh, I can see one more client this week, when we know that, well, what she discovered is she made more money by working less. Like, I think she even doubled her income in the first
I think so. Yeah.
month or 6 weeks. I can't remember the exact timeline now, but it was like, whoa, that was pretty amazing.
Yes. And one of the other themes throughout the stories, and they've said it in different words, was that they tapped into the power of the people around them. Like in my
Mm,
story, I talk about surrounding myself with amazing people. And a lot of the ladies talk about that. Who were their support people? And they needed support people. They needed to ask for help or be open and willing to receive help,
yeah.
or, whatever it might look like in their story, and how important the other women around us are.
Yeah. Well, that's what Fave is, right? Fave is a community of women. Talk about what happens in Fave.
In favor. So we were just talking about this week because we had an amazing discussion about regret. Okay. We're all business women in our biz society. However, matters of the heart and becoming who we need to become to be that leader in our businesses is top priority.
Mhm.
It's about being women of influence, if you will. And what is that going to look like? How are we going to step into that? And also, if you need support in the business type stuff, but it's really about becoming that leader in our business. And so we have deep discussions about, life events that distract us, those life distractions. We try to talk about things that are important to women in business and have conversations. It's very open, everyone goes kind of deep. So you have to be open and willing to have those discussions if you really kind of want to move forward in being a leader in your business. And so that's really what it's about. It's about connecting on a whole different level. What does it look like to do business as women?
Yeah.
Let's take away some of those male strategies, and what does it really look like to connect as women? And that's what we look at. How can we connect and do business? And actually, that's why we do a lot of business. We do business with each other
Yeah.
because we build relationships at a different level. They're not surface. Oh, well, I sell this, I sell that, whatever. It goes much deeper, and we really connect over that, and we support each other.
Yeah. I usually attend the Tuesday morning. There's 2 meetings a week. Monday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific,
Mhm.
and Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific. And I haven't been there lately because I've been knee deep in the book, getting this book first.
Yeah.
But I was amazed the first few times that I attended. I was like, "Oh, this is a networking meeting." Roll my eyes. Oh God, got to do this. But it was like, whoa, this is more than a networking meeting. It was deep. I was able to, just listening to the conversation and then reflecting on the questions that, the little prompts of the day that you bring to the table. It took me deeper in my own process, and that's how I do bring light into the world with words. It's like, wow, I never, it's always been my mission to be a um, positive force through books and magazines, articles and blogs, etc. But I never made that connection with it being light into the world. And
Yeah.
and there are many times during those co- um, meetings, conversations. I don't even want to call it a meeting,
Yeah.
a gathering that
Yeah.
we're all moved to tears. And we're really vulnerable, and then we get all teary, and it feels good. It's just
It
like,
does.
oh, I really got a lot out of that. I'm looking forward to going back into the meetings next week.
Yes, and right now, so every once in a while, we'll open up where our members lead. So Brenda led a really very interactive conversational topic on regret and what you want to leave in 2024 and what you want to take into 2025.
Mm,
And we went
nice.
over, we're like, oh my gosh, this is a good conversation, because we really had to look inward, because we're like, oh, there's nothing I regret. But as she talked, these little things would come up, and we're like, oh, okay. And she said, I'm just asking you to be human here.
Yeah.
and to open up, because as women in business, like we can present ourselves a certain way. We're in business, right? We're coming here to do business.
You got it
And
together, right?
exactly. We got it. We're the got it girls, and we've got this all taken care of. We've got the plans, and really it's like, oh, wow, wait, this is really hard. And then just to stay focused, we can get distracted and, the bright, shiny objects. I got this plan and, all these things happening. What's your one main goal? And so that's why I have up on my wall, #celebrating 1 million women. And at the beginning of each year, I do a little workshop and say, let's create a hashtag that can guide us through the year. And mine has been the same for, multiple years, because that's my guiding light. So I love to see what really lights other people up. What is that real thing that really motivates you? And it's going to keep you, what's going to get you out that door?
I like that. I like that. I'll have to think about my own hashtag for next year. I've thought about my word for the year,
Yeah.
which is peace. I want peace, and
Oh,
like peace with my business, peace with my family, peace with my friends, peace with my partner, peace with my body, just peace all the way around. And what would that look like? And what do I need to let go of to create that? What do I need to do to create that? And it's not that there's any troubles, thankfully, but
right.
it's just like, how can we bring that higher level? That's for me, my higher level. And I think
Right.
in part might be, probably is not being so busy, really limiting and creating more space. What brings me peace? Writing.
Oh, yes,
Writing.
yes, yeah.
I often schedule myself so heavy that I don't leave time to write. And wait a
Mm,
minute, that's part of what I get paid to do too, right?
right.
I do some ghost writing, right? And so, oh, look at what I've done. And then I crunch myself. But, looking at where that came from is also an interesting. So I think as we create those hashtags and
Yeah.
then have that realization what we want to create, what patterns we've had
And
to,
yes, and I love how you said, how can you create that peace in the new year? And that's what our these women that we're surrounding ourselves with, they're helping to challenge us to keep moving forward in that and finding the answers of what is going to create that. Because the peace
right.
isn't X amount of dollars. You have your goals and your metrics that you follow. I want people to, what is that that's going to create that peace? Because like you said, it's the writing. Well, the writing becomes a book. The writing becomes articles. The writing becomes these other pieces that produce the income to support what you need to support.
Mhm.
But what if we
Yeah.
did, what if we call it Fave style? What if we just do things different? What if we focus on those things and create a bigger sphere of influence with each other? What would that look like? And that's what these stories too are. We're getting out there. This is now a tool for us to share with other women. Here's some stories of getting through, learning to Anna Margolina's story about getting over her stutter.
Right.
And
Right.
now
In a
she's,
new country and in a new language.
yeah, she did it. And so it just gives us a little bit of hope. It's like, you know what, as I'm going, maybe creating that piece and finding out what that looks like, maybe that has to take me out of my comfort zone. Maybe I have to go do whatever. And so, but it's so sweet to have other women who think like that surrounding you and
Right.
challenging. Well, maybe you should do a TEDx talk, or have you thought of this? It's like, oh my gosh. So my word for next year just came to me the other day, and it's courageous. I need to
Mhm.
courageously step out of my comfort. And you know how you see little things that come into your world? And
Mhm.
so on Instagram today, Jamie Lee Curtis it was a little reel about, she said when she turned 60, she reflected on her life. And she was looking at, if I pass away, it's not me that they're going to be mourning. It's the creativity that I didn't create. That's
Mm.
what people should be mourning. She goes, so since then, I have been creating. She's produced created a production company, produced TV shows, done all these things. And as I was walking through all those difficult things that I did unexpectedly, I thought, what can I create? And so that's, I mean, I never thought I could write. And I've written more in the
Yeah,
last
when you told me
year.
that, and I looked at I went, "Who told you couldn't write?"
You have to edit and all that kind of good stuff and get your thoughts all together. And, it might take me longer than some other humans or whatever, but who knew? Who knew? Who knew we could go do interviews? And so next year, what it looks like for me is, what about a Being Brave tour to celebrate more women in their stories?
Ah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, and the book becomes a vehicle to be able to reach more people.
Yeah.
And you know, and create a larger community,
Right.
create more love and passion and bravery in the world, right?
Yeah.
For women. And as we become braver, it's not just about us being women, right? It's about we're going to touch other people's lives, all the men in our lives, all our children, right? It's the people that we meet on the street, in the grocery store, wherever all of that's going to be rippled out from us.
It is.
And that's exciting. That's
Yeah,
exciting. How
that
many
is
people's lives
exciting.
can we touch, right?
Right. I mean, just to see my son, bought the book and wrote a review, and he's like, "Oh, Mom, yeah." And just to see
Oh,
that,
cool.
stepping out and being an example for our children and our grandchildren. So when I first started Fave, one of the motivators for me was, and my kids weren't married or anything at that time. I started filming and sharing stories, interviewing women and their stories, because I also wanted my granddaughter to see me stepping out and being visible, if you will, that, for lack of a better word, but just stepping out and doing something and seeing me at a younger age. Because I was thinking she'll only remember me as an old woman. So I want her to see me now as the age that I'm at, and doing something that I find purposeful.
Yeah.
Because it gives me purpose to celebrate other women and to hopefully make them feel special and loved.
And I do believe you do that.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of evidence of it. Lots of evidence of it. So, did I hear a TEDx talk? Did somebody challenge you to do a TEDx talk?
That has been brought up, but yes, I have other ideas. So that is not on my plate at the moment. But
Yeah. Well, this weekend we have an in-person event.
yes,
That's exciting too.
that is very exciting, and I think it's just a celebration. I love to celebrate, and I think we say our stories matter. It's more than that. They are worth celebrating. And I think there's so much that, women, we go, "Oh, we got this. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I was brave. Move on here." 'Cause that's just what we do,
Right.
and
Next.
brave story, well, we got this. We're resilient and all that. What if we take a moment and celebrate?
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay to celebrate. It's fun. I like fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's fun with a purpose, actually. And so, yes, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate all the authors. We're going to bring them up on stage that are in house. And it's sold out. We've got 70 plus people. We've got family members and friends and all sorts of people. It's just going to be beautiful. I'm really excited to be able to host this. And Prohibition Cellars has donated the space. They're one of our in-kind sponsors. We could not have made this happen without our sponsors coming alongside of us.
Right. And you know what? I think that we forgot to share where you're based.
Oh, yes. I'm in the greater Seattle area, where we host all of our events in Woodinville, Washington. They have beautiful wineries there and great places to celebrate.
Yeah. And I get to come up. It's kind of interesting that it's like a trip for me. I'm in LA and, and it's like getting close to the holidays, but I just knew I had to be there. There
Yeah.
was like no question. And so I'm looking forward to coming up and being part of the celebration because
Yeah.
that's the way I honor all those women for trusting me to
Yeah.
edit their stories and make refinements and whatnot. And, some of them had more refinements than others, but that's and everyone took the um, feedback graciously, and
Yeah.
we have created a beautiful, beautiful book. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. You and I knew we could before everybody else. So we had our copies a while ago, but it was like I can't wait. I've got to see what it looks like, and
I
it's
know.
gorgeous, and um it's a big it's a big book. I was like, whoa, this is it's like 300. I think it's 330 pages of text and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Our designer, Dawn Teagarden, did an excellent job. I just sort of handed her the manuscript and said, all right, this is what we're thinking. We thought about the quote being on the left side, and she just took it and really ran with it. And the cover, the light the cover was created by Erica Holly of Smartest Consulting. And it's nice is that the light, I'm very, this light wave is sprinkled throughout the book as well.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous, right?
It
It's
is.
just,
I
I
love
can't,
it. It's so pretty. I said it over there. I'm like, it is really a pretty book. And that's what I've showed it to a few people, and they're like, oh, it's so pretty. And I'm like, yes, that's what I wanted. I want our stories to be beautiful. Our stories can be heavy sometimes. There's sort of heavy parts. So if you're going to read, I do suggest tissues on the
yes.
story. But then what you find as you go through the rest of the questions, you're like, yes, she did it. And you feel like you're cheering her on and rooting for her in her story. But and that's the thing too. The stories are short because they're interview style.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easy to just pick up 10 minutes. You can read through a story and be inspired. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. It is a very, very beautiful, moving book. I did cry a lot. Sometimes it was like, oh my God, I got to go back in and edit, grit my tears. And then, and to me, that was a good sign. If I was
move you to
so
emotion.
engrossed in it, then I knew it was going to be good. If I gloss over when I'm editing, then I know we have a problem. But this, no, every story has a nugget.
Yeah, every story does have a nugget. So Kathy, what was something that really touched you or was a surprise out of this being a part of this?
Now I'm going to cry.
Putting her on the spot. This is unscripted. We didn't know what we were talking about. So
I know, I wasn't.
Is there anything or something that touched your heart?
Well, I mean, each of the stories touched my heart.
Yeah.
But what I and seriously, I'm tearing up here. I do that a lot. I did that a lot with this book. Actually.
I know. Me too.
I realized it was a real honor. It took what I did. I've been in the publishing world for 30 years. Started in magazine journalism and then moved to traditional publishing houses. And so for the last 20 years, I've been, helping people write their stories and get them published. Mm-hmm. This project made me realize how important my role is.
Oh, yeah.
That this isn't just editing a book and publishing. This is, I do bring light into the world with words, and I help others do that. And I think it's been an honor, really has been an honor to be a part of this project. And that's why I have to be there on Saturday. It was like, there was no way I could have been this involved in this project and not show up.
Yeah.
to be part of the celebrate, and also to celebrate and acknowledge the authors. I've been writing a long time. I know that it can be struggle, but to acknowledge the bravery that it took for them to share their words on paper, just between a small group of us at first, and then now with readers around the world, right? And know that it's real. Yes, they wrote this for them, but when we write for other people. We write to help heal this world.
Yeah.
And so it really deepened my understanding and my responsibility to my gift and to what I offer people. Yeah. There's that word responsibility. It's like, it's not about me, right? And it's not about
Right.
me just making the income to pay my bills. It's about me really leaving an impact on the world,
Yeah.
leaving a legacy through not only my books, but I mean,
Wow.
I have my stories in here, but lots of other books too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like to share just one thing, that one of the reasons I chose you to help walk us through this and to be a part of this project is that, first of all, this was so near and dear to my heart because I knew the story that I had walked through, and I knew other women have stories to share. And like you said, it's a sense of responsibility to
Mhm.
share the hope and inspiration that have come out of our lessons. And I needed somebody who understood the women, who could be invested into the project. And I had talked to some other people, and I didn't sense that at all.
Ah,
That they didn't have that sense of honor, to honor these women and their stories that you have brought to us. And I
oh,
thank you for that.
thank you. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm gonna cry some more.
No, here's my tissues. I got my whole box over here.
Mine
Oh,
are
oh yeah.
I didn't have my desk.
Yes. So in our celebration, there may be tears because we are going to share one of the stories. We're going to share Christina Johnson's story.
Yeah.
And there's a moment in her story that people might just want to have their little box of tissues with.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, beautiful story. Wow.
Yeah. I can't
Yeah.
believe today's the day. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what I was going to feel like. And I almost, because it's been so busy, I almost didn't allow myself to be excited and feel the feel,
Oh,
because I've been doing, you know how we all we're just busy. We got to get those, the social media done and out and, to get all that. And so yesterday I just took a little bit of time as I was doing, you know, taking care of some things, but I had some good time in the car. And that's where I was able to just like, hey, I just need to open the doors and let it all soak in.
yeah. Yeah.
And because there's a lot of feelings going on there that is exciting. It is such an honor, like you said, to share this, and it's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. Thank you for choosing me to be a part of this project. It has been quite the adventure, and
It has
we
been, yeah. I think we both learned things along the way, but
yeah,
to know that, hey, wait, I could do this. So you know what? The other thing that I just love about how we did this book, this also gives ladies kind of an outline to write their own book, because there's so
sure.
much more to their story, or to go out and speak. So there's
Mhm.
so much more that they can take from this, or just even share little bits of it throughout their business.
Right, right,
So that's,
exactly.
yeah, there's so much. This is like the stepping stone for a lot of these ladies. So it's going to be interesting to see, what we can encourage them to do with it.
That's right. That's right, and we will do that.
Yes, we will.
This is just the beginning. We've birthed the baby, and
Yes,
now we get to raise the baby,
yes,
right? As
yes,
a literary midwife, that's what
yes. And so I also
it's
want to
part of the process.
encourage some of the women too, if they have a brave story to inspire others, they can still go to the favelifestyles.app and go fill out the 16 questions, and it won't go in the book, but it'll go up onto the app. And it just goes up as how they write it, where we don't edit those stories. But it's just a way to celebrate more women and to spread that word, that a word of positivity and hope and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So we'll put the app, the URL in uh, after we end the stream. So
Yes, yeah.
yeah. Well, I think we covered all that we need to cover.
I think so. Yes.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
I will.
I know we're going to be busy still promoting the launch for the paperback, excuse me, and getting ready for my trip. I've already started packing a little bit. So which if I start like a couple days before, that means I'm excited.
Yeah. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold in Seattle.
I know. Well, that's the other thing. I've been really thinking about what I need to pack to be warm.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kathy, for being along on this project. I'm just, my heart is so full right now to be able to, like you said, bring that light. And I, one of the things too is that each woman brings a little bit of light, however they show up, their beauty and their brilliance. And one of the things that somebody came to an event one time, a neighbor, and I saw her afterwards, and she goes, Karen, she goes, I just have to tell you, she goes, I've never seen so many amazing women in one room. And that was the biggest compliment I have ever gotten. And that's what this is, all kinds of amazing women. And it was just being real, just being authentic and being real.
Thank you for being you.
Yeah.
And for embracing your courage and stepping way outside your comfort zone from the beginning of Fave Lifestyles.
Oh, yeah.
Now with this book and to what's next. And we'll have another conversation about that.
It was good chatting today.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us. Take care.